Hey, I wanted to do another live stream, Instagram live stream. I'll also be filming this one in higher quality and putting it up on my YouTube channel, which is actually starting to take off. So I had a reel or a short, I guess you call them on YouTube, and it actually went viral. And so that one's starting to grow. I think I'm at like 17,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. If you're not following me on YouTube, then consider subscribing over there, because I am trying to grow that and do more live streams and tutorials and all kinds of content like that. And so if you like what you're seeing on Instagram, then you might like my YouTube channel as well. As far as what I'm using, this is just a cheap non-drying modeling clay I got from the dollar store. A lot of people ask about clay, and so this is non-dry modeling clay. It's unbranded, came from Dollar Tree, and it came in a bunch of colors, and I just melted down all but the darkest of the colors, and it gave me this nice reddish brown. I really like this clay. I need to make some more, actually, because it works really good, and I've really liked the consistency of it, and it's a lot cheaper than some of the other more professional clays, and I actually like it a little bit more than some of the professional clays. As far as news, the competition's coming up. So the figure sculpting competition, which will be about this scale. So this is just under 18 inches, but anywhere between 16 and 20 inches. That's kind of the scale for the upcoming figure sculpting competition. If you're interested in that, if you'd like to participate, then you just message me sculpture competition and I'll send you a link. And you can sign up for that, and it's free for everybody to participate. There's $1,000 in cash prizes, as well as some gift cards, some digital prizes, and we've got a lot of great sponsors for that, including Proco.com, where my online courses are, the figure sculpting course and portrait sculpting course, the DaVinci Eye app, which allows you to overlay reference images with your sculpture, and I use that a lot to test or to check proportions and gesture and everything before I start to lay in the details when I'm sculpting from photo references. The photo references for the competition are provided by posebase.com, and there'll be 24 images of the figure turning around. And so I really like the way they do reference images. So those will kind of, and then Blick Art Materials also became a sponsor recently, and so they're going to be also giving a $100 gift card. So if you're interested, you like to participate, there'll be some live streams on the Proco 3D YouTube channel, and it should be really fun for everybody that is interested in sculpting and wants to participate in the competition. There's going to be a male pose, a female pose. You get to choose which one you'd prefer to sculpt during the competition, and those poses will be made available through my email list. So when you send me a message with sculpture competition, I send you a link to sign up for the email list, and then on the 24th of April, that's when those will become available. So it's coming in a couple weeks. That competition will get going, and I'm really excited. This is the first kind of online sculpture competition, hopefully the first of many, because I think this would be a fun way to motivate people around the world to do more sculpting. And so hopefully it's just the first of many, and if you'd like to participate, then I would love to see your work in the competition. If you have any questions while I'm just kind of working on things, I'll be just kind of touching up the details. I might this pose started as a 3-hour pose from a live model, and but that was only for one session, so now I don't have the model anymore, and so I'm trying to decide what I want to do. Let me just move this because I keep hitting the stand. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I think I might make this sculpture someone who is, I'm thinking about having it be a pregnant woman. And so we'll see if I want to do that. And then I'm thinking about maybe changing the placement of the head. I think I do like this kind of bent back a little bit more. It wasn't like that originally. It was a more straightforward pose. Let's see. says paused. But we'll see if I make some of those changes, and we'll just go from there. If you guys have questions as I'm working, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer questions if I see any. I'm just checking right now. I'm not seeing any questions, and so if you do have any, let me know. I'll try to catch them, though I am sculpting, so forgive me if I miss it. Just ask again if you don't, if it gets lost or something. All right, so let's make. I think I will have it be a pregnant mother, an expecting mother. And so I'm just going to kind of outline the, where the pregnant belly will be. We'll have this be kind of later in the pregnancy, so quite a large belly for the baby that's growing inside the mother. And let's see, and then I'll just come in with some clay, and let's go ahead and add that belly. Look at that. That already. Somebody's asking, when did I start sculpting? I had I think I sculpted once in high school, just like most people have like some sort of pottery class or something. But my first sculpting class was in college, and so that was about 6 years ago. It's about when I started my YouTube channel, actually, and so there's kind of a documented journey of that. But I've always liked art. I always enjoyed drawing and painting and those things. Always with people. People are what interests me. I think that people make the most interesting art, and so I have never been that interested in like sculpting plants or animals or drawing, mountains or other scenes. Even though I think those things are beautiful, they're also God's creations. But I think we as human beings are the most interesting thing to, and the most, I think, beautiful thing when represented convincingly through art. Let's see, that's feeling a little bit high, so I think the belly needs to come down a little bit more. I guess sometimes women carry the baby up a little bit higher, but I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. Gabby says, love it. Well, thank you. Gabby should pose for me. Gabby is my wife, and she's pregnant. We're actually expecting our fourth baby, so getting one more person in the family, and we are very excited. We were very, very excited to have another person in the family. Yeah, I do like this. I think I do like the pregnant belly. I think that's kind of adds more interest to the sculpture. Though of course the original model wasn't pregnant, but let's see, and then coming forward like this. So yeah, I really think that's a better sculpture. And that's one of the things that I do mention that I talk about often is my pro-life position as an artist, and I don't talk about all my political beliefs generally, but I feel like that's one of the most important political and moral issues of our day. I really feel like like that is kind of the issue that determines, like, as a society, do we believe that every human life is intrinsically valuable, or do we believe that it's okay to end the life of, some sons and daughters in the womb? Is it okay to end that life that's growing inside the mother? And the pro-abortion side, the people that believe that abortion should be legal and that there shouldn't be restrictions or things like that, they say, well, the rights of the mother supersede that right of the child to live. It's the child needs the mother. It's growing inside of the mother's body, and so that child needs the mother. But if the mother wants to basically say that she doesn't want to be the mother anymore, that it should be her right to be able to end the life of her son or daughter, as long as the child is small and still growing inside her. And I just don't agree with that. And one of the reasons that I disagree with that is just because I know my own children, and I know that they were once as small as any child inside the womb. And I know that when a woman is pregnant, she's pregnant with her child, her son or daughter. And I don't believe it's ever okay to intentionally kill an innocent son or daughter in the womb. It's not okay to kill somebody, even if maybe that child's unwanted. Maybe that child came about through horrific circumstances, like the pro-abortion side often likes to bring up rape. Like, well, what about a woman that was raped? And to that, I'd say that that's a horrible thing. That's really a horrible thing to create a life through such an evil act. But the life that's growing inside the mother is innocent. That baby didn't do anything. The father is the one that's guilty and the one that should be punished. So I think even in extreme cases, that it's still an innocent human life. It's still an innocent child. And so that's a position I thought a lot about, and I'm very pro-life. I believe every human being from the very beginning should be protected and treated as valuable. And I believe that with my own kids, and I understand that if my own kids, if one of my kids was killed while they were in the womb, they'd be dead today. That same child that I saw in the sonogram, and that, that same child would be missing from the world. They would be dead, just as dead as if they were killed during any other stage. And so that's something that, I just can't get around the logic of the fact that it is, an innocent human child that we're talking about when we're talking about abortion, or we're talking about, the pro-abortion side likes to use a lot of euphemisms. They'll call it women's health care or other things, but really what we're talking about is killing an innocent child, an innocent son or daughter in the womb. That's something that, I really believe in. I honestly believe that those are people that have the same rights as any other person. So so that's something I'm not shy about sharing that belief, because I think it is true. I think every single person from the very beginning is valuable, and that's why I really enjoy sculpting people. I really think that we were created in the image of God, that we were created with bodies that are a gift from God, and I believe every son or daughter is a gift from God, from the creator of the universe, the being that brought us into being. And I think, and pregnancy it's a miracle. It's a miracle. There's no getting past that. It's just a miraculous thing that women have the ability to create a new life with their bodies. And that's something that should be, we should be in awe of that every person, every person that's alive, that there was a sacrifice made by their mother to bring them into the world, that it was a painful process, but that they should be valued just like, every mother should be valued, and every son or daughter valued. Somebody says, beautiful, thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, if people have comments or if you have questions or you disagree with things that I'm saying, I'm happy to talk about it. But it really has kind of changed the becoming a father. Really has maybe people on the other side, they would say it's radicalized that belief, but I think it's just taking my understanding to its logical conclusion. And if I believe it would have been wrong for my wife to kill our children when they were in the womb, that would have been wrong. And so if I understand that it's wrong with our children, then I understand that it's wrong with any child. It's not okay to kill any child in the womb, even if the child isn't as valued as much by the parents as my children are by me and by my wife. And so I'm very fortunate to be married to somebody where that would never be something that would be considered, ending the life of our child. But that's not every person that believes that. So let's see. I think with the head, now it kind of looks like she's looking a little bit away from the belly, now that we added kind of the pregnant belly. So I think what I'm going to do is change the position of the head. And so let's see if we can't change that to something that's a little bit more interesting. I don't know about that. Let's see. Just kind of playing with it. You put it in place, change the position, and then see how it feels, and if I like it or if I think it should be moved. I don't know if I like that much. Let's see. I feel like the neck, it might be getting a little bit long as I'm moving things around, but I can make adjustments or bring the chin down or do things like that to change the position if I need to. But I think that is looking a lot better. Yeah, I think I'll and then with this arm, I feel like I want it to be doing something. I might keep it straight, but let me see what it looks like if I bring it forward a little bit more. I might want to have it, holding the belly. That's a pretty common pose for pregnant women. So I'm just kind of trying things out, experimenting, moving things around, and seeing what I think I do like that arm coming a little bit more forward. I think I'll keep it fairly straight. Let me grab some some pliers. Let's see if I can find. Let's see. So I think that's looking a little bit better. I like that. I like that a little bit more. I think it adds some interest to the pose. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hand for now, because I'll need to resculpt the hand anyway, so just so I can see where the armature is. I'm going to take away that hand. Let's see, we're about... Yeah, let's go ahead and I'm going to bend this in, and I'm just going to kind of bury this in the clay just to keep it in place. I think that's kind of interesting. So let's try to clean things up a little bit. I'm looking at this from this back angle, and I feel like that there should be some things happening here. Maybe the shoulder comes a little bit farther out. Maybe there's a little bit more of the tricep kind of folding over, and then the back muscles over here. Place. And I'm really just thinking about the gesture of this line over here. You know, what's happening in that area. Trying to establish it and make it something that's interesting. Shoulder, I feel like, would come a little bit farther out, but not too much. And that tricep will be pressed against the body, and so it'll make the tricep kind of flatten a little bit. And then the shoulder can be right there. And I'm gonna kind of remove some of the clay. I don't want to look. I like kind of pointing out the anatomy of the arm and stuff, but I want to avoid it becoming too masculine as far as the size of the muscles and things like that. So let's see if I can't just have that. Then we got the latissimus dorsi. Yeah, I think I like that pose a lot more. I'm liking how it's coming. The head I'm still not 100% happy with, but maybe I just need to develop things a little bit more. Somebody says, "Night, bro. Good night." Let's see, have I missed any? I don't think I've missed any comments or anything. Yeah, I'm liking that pose. That way this can be added to my one of my pro-life sculptures. I thought about doing maybe I will eventually, making a channel just for pro-life artists and things, artworks that celebrate the family and celebrate life, bringing new life into the world. I think that's something that would be worthwhile, and I really think that that it's a beautiful time. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that happen in the body that represent a sacrifice, the sacrifice that the mother makes. But it can also be a really beautiful time, an amazing thing, to bring a new life into the world. I do think that's looking better. Let's see. And then maybe this is, this might be, the breast might be kind of pushing up against the arm to kind of change it. It's like a soft water balloon or something. So that's gonna be affected by the arm. So I'm just gonna come and kind of change that a little bit. And then this muscle be coming forward, so it'd be a little bit more flexed, the pectoral muscle. So you might see a little bit more that. Then maybe this, this here might be a little bit too exaggerated. It's a little bit better, and we'll soften up the line. Yeah, I think that's a better pose, more interesting of a sculpture. And this one also might be, gravity might be pulling on this side more as well. So I'm really just trying to think about, what would, now that I've changed the pose, now that I've, changed the balance of it, I've moved this a little bit forward and changed a bunch of other things. I'm just thinking, like, what effect does that have on the figure? Like, how is that changing what's going on? And how would it exist in reality, and what can I do to make it feel more real? See, I'm gonna kind of push this arm in a little bit more. It's looking a little bit better. And that way I'll be able to connect in here, and I think that'll look better. The negative spaces, can be nice as well, but I think connecting the space will be better. I'm gonna keep a bra and some underwear on the model, because Instagram has gotten upset at me for sculpting nude sculptures, even though they, it says that in their policy that it's okay if it's sculpture or fine art related stuff, that it doesn't count as is nudity. It doesn't go against their nude policy or their policies with regards to drapery, but I have been punished for that in the past. So just for the record, Instagram, this is, she's wearing underwear here. You can see the underwear. Okay. Then here the scapula is, I feel like it would be kind of coming a little bit more forward because of the way that arm is coming forward. So I'm going to move that a little bit. Last live I talked about kind of these lines, this zigzag line from the top of the shoulder down to the zigzag for the scapula. So on this side, I feel like the scapula will kind of change angles and come out a little bit more. In fact, I feel like this part of the scapula would actually be pointing out a little bit more than what I have. I'm just gonna add that. So I feel like that would change the silhouette of the back from that angle. And it'll be pretty soft, the female figure, especially like if it's if it's pregnant, then women tend to have a little bit more subcutaneous fat, which is just the fat under the skin that softens everything. And so you want to be careful not to make, the muscle definition and everything too exaggerated, or else it stops feeling feminine. And which is fine, there are some women that do actually have really low amounts of body fat or things like that. But as a sculptor, you have to think about, well, what do you want to bring? What do you want to bring to the forefront of when it comes to the figure? And for this one, I'd like to be a healthy looking pregnant mother. I really like, these curves of the leg coming up to the hips and then coming into the back. I think that's just a really interesting area. And I'm liking that with this pose, so I feel like, I'll get some things wrong with this, especially since I don't have a model to observe. I'll definitely get some things wrong. But sometimes there are just areas where you feel like, oh, that looks like it could be what would actually happen if somebody with that figure was standing in that pose. That feels like something that could actually take place. And that's a good thing when you get to that point. I'm gonna do something where I come in and kind of soften the transition between these forms, so actually add some clay and fill in some of the negative space here. That's just something that I sometimes see in sculptures and has kind of a nice effect. And that way you can, like, if I wanted to, I can come in and pull out some of that line later. Some of the transitions, like maybe there's places where it is a little bit, like it does tuck in a little bit more. There's more of a stark transition. But I kind of like when some areas kind of blend into others in a way that they wouldn't actually in reality. Just kind of playing with the forms. let's see if we can establish this hand that's coming forward a little bit more. So we'd have the wrist right there. And so we'll just say, the back of the hand. Just thinking about like an oven mitt shape. And the thumb is coming here from the wrist. Coming forward. The fingers coming forward. The hands are, tricky. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into being able to represent the hands in a convincing way. But right now I'm just trying to get the idea of what's happening with the hand. I'm not worried too much about accuracy of all the fingers and everything. I'm just thinking what's going on. It's feeling a little bit better. See, I'm gonna kind of take some clay away around the wrist. Feel like that's not that convincing of a hand yet. So I might need to, if I need to, I might even have to take references of, of myself or my wife or something, just to get that hand in place with the tricky areas, because it really is hard if you don't have the information of exactly what's happening, like what's happening with the wrist and everything else. It's a tricky thing to invent from imagination unless you've sculpted many, 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 many hands, and I haven't sculpted nearly enough. One of the courses, I think the next course that I'd like to do, so I've done a course on figure sculpting, fundamentals, and working on a portrait sculpting course right now. That's the one that I'm doing right now, which is, both courses are out and available. And the one that I would like to do next is sculpting the hands and feet. And that would just give me a chance to just practice sculpting the hands and feet over and over and over again, because it really does take that repetition to get to a point where you can do it convincingly, and especially if you want to eventually get to the point where you can sculpt from imagination, you just have to have so much knowledge about the forms and how those forms interact with each other and how they distort when they do certain things, and how those forms exist in space. That takes a lot of study and practice. And the courses, they've been a great opportunity for me to study and practice, and get better as a sculptor, do something I love. And I get to take students on that learning journey as I think, like, well, what would be a way to kind of solidify this information, and then how can I do that? What assignments would be helpful? And then I get to do those assignments as demos for students. And so there's a lot of value in creating the course, aside from obviously the monetary value of being able to have a product that I can sell to provide for myself and my family. That's one part, but just the knowledge value that comes from building a course or teaching is also really, really, really beneficial, or has been for me. But not everybody has that, that desire to teach as much. Let's see. You're the best, Andrew. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm not the best, but I am trying. Let me just go back and see if I missed any comments. Somebody says perfect. Well, thanks. It's not perfect. Hi. Somebody says hi. Hello. It's not perfect, but I am working on it, and hopefully it keeps getting better and not worse. That's the tricky thing, is I feel like my sculptures get to a certain point where I'm pretty happy with what's going on, and then it doesn't take a lot to mess it up. So he says, beautiful, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I missed any questions or anything, so let's keep going. Let's see, how far in are we? We're about 40 minutes, so we'll go for another 20 minutes or so. I think, let's see, I think an hour is a good amount of time for one of these. So let me come in and just work on some of these details. Feel like the wrist is too thick. That's a problem I have. I think I mentioned in the last live stream that I often will sculpt the hands too large. Then the wrist is part of that, and then just the musculature of the arm like this. You know, this definitely feels like the forearm of somebody that does a lot of forearm exercise. You know, maybe this woman is a rock climber or something like that. So, or, you know, maybe that's too exaggerated for, if you're going for an average, you know, female figure, that might be a little bit too exaggerated when it comes to the muscles. So just coming with the tool and maybe like saying, okay, I'll thin these down a little bit, and coming across the form of the arm. Let's do the same thing up here with that, and I'm just trying to kind of take away some mass, because I feel like that arm has become too massive. That's looking a little bit better. Maybe the same thing from under here. Removing some of the clay in these areas and kind of pushing in. Pushing things in. It will not be perfect, but it is so near to perfect. Well, thanks. That's a great compliment. Yeah, that's the thing, is there's always something you can change on a sculpture. That's why I think that it's a really good practice to just set a time limit and just say, you know what, in a certain amount of hours, the sculpture is going to be done, and I'm going to mold it, or I'm going to fire it or something. And that way, when you have a time frame, you know, like whatever it looks like, once that time is up, that's the sculpture is done. And so it gives you that kind of finish line. Whereas when you're working on something a little bit more aimlessly and you don't have, you know, a time frame, then you can just keep changing things indefinitely, and it's hard to finish the sculpture. So that's something that that's one of the reasons that I'm doing the online sculpting competition, the free online sculpting competition, so that people can just have like a goal of, okay, I'm going to finish a figure sculpture of, you know, a man or a woman in that's 18 inches, so a decent size, and I'm going to do it in 2 weeks, and whatever it looks like at the end, that's what I'm going to submit for the competition, and that way you have an end date in mind, and so it's a way to push yourself to become better. and to finish, you know, push yourself to finish something as well, to actually finish the work of art, the sculpture in this case. Let's see. Feel like that there wasn't enough blending in here. Let's come and just kind of coming across the form and blending softening the form a little bit more. Yeah, I'm liking that. Yeah, I think that's way better. I think I find this pose much more interesting than what it started out as at the beginning. So I'm feeling good about those changes. Yeah, I'll definitely need to take some references for that hand that's on the belly, just because I need to know what's happening. And it's just too much information to try to make up. Well, I am trying to make it up, but you can see that it doesn't, it just doesn't quite look right. So it just takes references sometimes, which is fine. Especially, everybody can, or most people can even just use themselves as a reference if they need to from time to time. I've done that for many sculptures, even with a female sculpture. If it's like the hand or something, I would just take references of my own hand and then make it more feminine, try to take away some of the thicker bones and make it more slender and less muscular, things like that. So being able to do that is a good skill to have. Yeah, I'm going to go in and fill in again some of this negative space inside. That kind of makes it makes the arm feel way too thick. But I can just kind of push the rib cage over, or push things around to help it to feel right. Yeah, I don't know if that's better with softening that transition. I might have liked it more with the the hard transition, but I can always add it back in, but we'll see. And I'm gonna just trying to imagine, what is happening with the forms. I feel like this, this arm is coming up. The transition from the arm to the back is, maybe it's like right there. And then I think how it goes into the shoulder. It's kind of a hard thing to make up, but hopefully it's looking okay. And I do have to, if I'm gonna switch up things with like the hair and stuff, I have to decide what exactly is gonna happen there. Just come in and try to establish the neck a little bit more clearly, what's happening there. this up a little bit. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Somebody's asking, how do you hook the pedestal to the skeleton of the sculpture? So the stand and the sculpture, I've bent out a piece of metal that's kind of a Z shape. So it comes up here, it goes into the sculpture, inside the sculpture, and then comes up a little bit. So it's kind of this zigzag shape. And then I just wrap the wire of the armature around the sculpture really tightly in the middle of the sculpture, around the area of the pelvis, and then it just comes out right here. And if I was going to take a mold, if I was going to make a mold and cast this, I would just have the seam come out at this support. So basically the front half would come this way, the back half would go that way, and then I would just fill in this space in the mold. So I wouldn't cut the sculpture out or anything. I'd just build the mold around the stand. So yeah, a lot of people have asked about that. It is kind of a complicated process. Mold making is a complicated process. There is a video that goes over simple 2-part mold making in the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course. So if you're interested, you can find information on that in the Proco Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course. But I mean, mold making, it could be its course. It could be its own course because it is complicated, and it's really easy to make mistakes and hard to get it right. But it is obviously a very valuable skill for sculptors, obviously, because then you're able to make things permanent. See, just from the front, I felt like this form of the side, I wasn't feeling like it blended very well, so I'm just coming and softening it a little bit, changing the outline of it from this angle. A little bit better. Everything over here, I'm just kind of pushing out the hip. Like I feel like the weight of the body on this glute, is just going to push the fat and muscle up a little bit more right there. Kind of change that outline a little bit more. Right now, a lot of what I'm doing is just looking at the outline and seeing if I like what's happening. And if I don't, then I'm just trying to come in and change something. Like if something looks wrong or something looks off, it probably is. So just coming in and trying to make changes to make the sculpture a little bit better. Just one piece of clay at a time. And that is the process of sculpting. Just one piece of clay at a time. Let's see, we got about 5 more minutes. Let's see what we could do, what we can get done in 5 minutes. I'm gonna try to make that hand a little bit more slender. The knuckles are coming up. And then probably these 2 fingers are coming together. That's a common thing for sculptures to have. And then the pinky is like its own separate entity. Seem to be making matters worse. Yeah, man, that hand is tricky. Okay, I'll just need some references. I'll need some references because I don't want to make things worse. Just what it feels like I'm doing as I'm experimenting with the hand. Okay, let's see. I guess I could do the same thing with this, with this hand. Also, we'll need some work eventually, but okay, I'm kind of backing up away from the sculpture now, just to check on things, see what's. Looking at the silhouette, I'm looking at the screen, just the live stream on Instagram, and that's just helping me focus on the silhouette. Sometimes when you're looking at it in 3D, it just helps to see it on a 2D screen for some reason, I've found. So that's kind of something I'm doing. Let's see, I guess I could come and kind of make the belly a little bit more smooth, finished. So I'm just coming across the form several times with the flat of the knife blade to try to get rid of, some of the tool marks and stuff. Coming at it from different directions, smoothing things out. Something like that. Yeah, I like this sculpture a lot more than I did an hour ago, so that's good. That's what you want when you're working on a sculpture, to like it more and not less. So I think those were some good choices. Let's see, there might be you might see some of the ribs coming out. I'm not sure. No, they'd probably be buried in a little bit. Yeah, I think they would, that rib cage would kind of go in, and you wouldn't see too much of what's going on there. Yeah, just a little bit more mass in this area. I'm gonna grab some clay with this tool and come in between the fingers, because I feel like the flesh of the waist is coming a little bit more forward. Same thing between the forefinger and the middle finger. Just filling that in a little bit. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that I like this. Oh, I like this pose more. Let's see. Just gonna kind of blend this a little bit. See if I can't get these things going. go. Well, actually, yeah, maybe that hand's looking a little bit better. It's still off, but it's not off full like it was at the beginning. Yeah, that's hands. That's hands. They are tricky. Difficult to sculpt hands. Okay. I think I'm going to just gonna round this off a little bit. All right, I think that's time. That's an hour. So an hour of work. Let me just go back in and draw some of the underwear on this draped sculpture. There we go. Center line coming down and up here. So there we have it. I think that's about where I'm going to end. Again, if you're interested in sculpting, you can check out my sculpting courses. If you'd like to join the sculpting competition that's free, that's going to start April 24th. There's a link in my bio for all of that. So yeah, I appreciate anybody and everybody that supports in any way. Thank you guys. Stay creative, stay productive, and I will see you around.